Paramount's Noah is causing huge controversy among Christians for issues of faithfulness to the source material. If only there was someone we could get to comment on it who has lots of experience with his favorite characters and stories being adapted to the big screen, both good and bad.
And I can be a Superman for you. I'll sweep you off your feet, and a princess you can be.
That was a strange movie. Hi, I'm Normal Guy, and this is Normal Guy vs. the World. Fanboys rule movies right now. And why not? We are passionate. If we love what you do, we will give you all our money, and we'll generate all the buzz that you want. So, after years of taking the willing money and life savings of sci-fi, fantasy, and comic book fans, Hollywood has found a new treasure trove: religious fanboys. Christians have already proven they will go to see a movie that caters to them, even if it's not that great. And the stories in the Bible are common domain, which means that any Hollywood producer can make one and they don't have to pay for it. So Hollywood is thinking, more cash cow sheep, mwah! But of course, they have forgotten the darker side of fanboys. I mean, we're the same people who sent death threats to Michael Bay because he changed the look of the Transformers. And religious people actually base their lives on the stuff, which I guess is not all that different. The thing is, Hollywood seems to be awfully surprised that Christians got up in arms about stuff. I mean, I know Hollywood is a bubble, but don't they watch the news? You see, the controversy is that director Darren Aronofsky made up a lot of stuff in the movie that was not in the book. So, the question is this legitimate, artistic, if ambitious and imaginative interpretation, like Christopher Nolan's Dark Knight trilogy? Or is it just making stuff up for the sake of making stuff up and is super unfaithful and contrary to the story and the spirit of the story, like Peter Jackson's Hobbit? The reason I'm couching it in these terms is it's really easy to get confused because religion is being in the mix here. Really, fans really want the same thing from an adaptation. They want what was in the original story and what it's meant to people who've enjoyed it for, in this case, thousands of years, to be put on the big screen. I've gone through this exact same thing with dozens of superhero sci-fi fantasy movies. I know what compromises have to be made and what is crossing the line and what is not crossing the line. The only difference between those stories and these is that the Bible stories are things that people actually base their lives on, which I guess, again, is not really that much of a difference. So, as a fan of the original Noah story, am I happy with this adaptation? No! And I really don't want to be that guy. First of all, the claim that Aronofsky only fills out details in a very short story and doesn't make any changes is completely untrue. And I really respect a lot of people who claim that he doesn't, but he does. And he bases the primary drama in the movie on the things he changed from the story rather than the things he kept. Gone are many of the things that resonate with people most about the story. God's special love for humanity, but his hatred of sin, how difficult it is to be faithful and good in a bad society, and God's special promise that he will save those who are faithful and put their trust in him. As you can see from Genesis chapter 6, verse 18, blasted Aronofsky, you turned me into one of these people. It clearly says that God told Noah to bring his wife, his sons, and their wives on the ark. In fact, it says it like 4 times. But the entire second and third acts of the movie are based on the fact that Noah's sons don't get wives. Except Ashton Kutcher gets Hermione, but who arbitrarily had to be an adopted sister for some reason. In that same verse, God says directly, I am going to make a covenant with you and your family, and I'm going to save you. He talks about the animals later. In the movie, it's the exact opposite. It's the animals first, and the humans are like, ah! I kid you not, this is an exact quote from the movie. God wants us to save the innocent. The innocent? The animals. But what about us? I guess we get to survive too. The worst part is, the filmmakers did not mean that to be funny. Then there's the issue of what makes Noah righteous compared to the rest of his generation, that they deserve to die and he can live. Keep in mind, people and civilizations base their lives on the answer to this question. Aronofsky says, the Bible is vague, so he can kind of fill it in however he wants. So what he decides is that all of the bad people eat and kill animals and mine the earth for resources. That's basically what differentiates them from Noah. I mean, they kind of mention the fact that it's a problem that people and mankind kill other people, but Noah will do that too, especially if it's your guys are killing animals. Then, he wants justice. I'm Batman. By the way, if one of the main problems with mankind is that they kill each other and kill and eat animals, what does that say about animals? That one of the main things they do is kill and eat each other and other animals. So basically, industrial meat eater bad, Amish hippie good. Now I have philosophical problems with this, as you can watch in my Lone Ranger video. But the main thing is, it's not faithful to the Bible. Starting in the next book, and then for the entire rest of the Bible, God reveals to humanity, this is what it looks like to be a righteous man, and this is what it looks like to be a wicked one, and here's the difference. You may have heard of God's top 10. In fact, for ancient Jews, the first 5 books of this were really just one story, and so they were supposed to inform the Noah story. In fact, one of the big things that God says he destroys entire peoples for in this is infanticide, which is ironic because that's the one thing we don't actually see the wicked people do, and it's the one thing that Noah actually attempts to do in the course of the story. Now, call me crazy, but I like an angsty, flawed Noah, but when I'm more horrified by the stuff that he attempts to do or does in the story, and than I am at the wicked people who are all judged by God to die, then I think you've mixed up your priorities in the story. But hey, that's just me. Okay, so I've gotten the fan review out of the way. But what if you're not a fan of the original story? Is it still a good movie in an objective sense? If I'm not a fan of the original story, would I enjoy it? Maybe. It's okay. Honestly, there are a lot of things I like about it. I like, axe-wielding Noah. I like the world where everyone believes in God, but they have different ideas about him. I like how dark it gets, and philosophical, theological. I even like the rock ant people angels. For those of you who haven't seen the movie, yes, I did really say rock ant people angels. And they're actually kind of cool. And honestly, I could maybe forgive some of the flat characters and kind of clumsy storytelling. My big problem is it really never embraced and really went for a particular vision or aesthetic in the movie. It was kind of trying to be a lot of things and didn't really end up being satisfying with anything. It on the one hand wanted to be this kind of serious Cecil B. DeMille epic Bible story, and on the other hand wanted to be this crazy sci-fi fantasy world. But it didn't really end up embracing either and end up kind of as a mess. If you want to do Lincoln, do Lincoln. If you want to do Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter, do Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter. But you can't do both. In fact, I think the movie would have honestly been better if they'd embraced the craziness and just said, yes, this is an axe-wielding rock giant helping, unicorn saving, crazy Noah fantasy. Just told people that's what it's going to be. Instead, it kind of tried to be both and told people it was going to not be that and be the other thing. And Aronofsky said he got the vision he wanted, and so we can't really blame Paramount for changing stuff. So in conclusion, I didn't really get any kind of satisfying experience I wanted. Not the one that I had expected and wanted, nor a substitute vision of the directors. So, after all that, what do I recommend? Well, if you are a Christian nerd and just have to see what's going on in Bible movies, go see this movie. If you are really interested in the controversy and just have to see what all the fuss is about, definitely go see this movie. If you are really interested in dark philosophical storytelling, weird kind of sci-fi, and kind of ambitious art, then definitely go see this movie. If, on the other hand, you are looking for a faithful retelling of the story that you love, don't go see this movie. And if you are looking for a really satisfying movie-going experience, don't go see this movie. That is my fanboy arc, and I am going to sail on it. Oh, come on, you knew I had to bring a corny Noah joke in here somewhere. And so ends my first Bible movie review and the most controversial movie review I've done since Elysium. So just make sure to comment and let me know what you think. I'm really interested. I guess we just gotta wait for Exodus starring Christian Bale for another Bible movie. Only December. Not too long. And I could always go see God Is Not Dead. I guess there's Left Behind starring Nicolas Cage. I only killed the animal because I was starving, I swear to God! Swear to me!
Bonus! Mr. Bonus, my precious!
Grandfather Methuselah, are you off your meds again?